Most people understand that they need to have a website, but they don't really understand why. So they go to a web designer and go, hey, can you build me this website? And web designer goes, sure, give me 20 grand. And they build some website that doesn't do anything. Web designers don't have a freaking clue. They drive me nuts. They take people's money and run away with it. Like a website doesn't particularly have to look beautiful. It needs to clearly show what you do, and it needs to get in front of people. Yeah. Like we like to call it the grunt test. You need to be so clear that a caveman can come to your website and go, oh yeah, that's what this guy does. It needs to be really freaking clear. And so the first message is, someone searching for a headache, you fix headaches.
All right, guys, welcome again to another amazing episode. Today we have Kris Reid. He's a business growth expert, founder of Ardor CEO. Essentially, a lot of marketing and SEO for your website. And we'll dive right into it. And Kris, if you could explain a little bit to us about what exactly your company does, how you got started in that. Because I see you're from Australia. You were a software engineer. Now you just told me you live in Vietnam. You have a pretty cool, I imagine, a cool story there. But you've attractive business from the U.S. And tell us how you've been able to do that.
Man, I tell you, what a great time in which we live, right? You're just kicking off for the day. I'm wrapping up for the day. I just put the kids to bed, and now talking to you from the other side of the world.
I just dropped off my kids.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the internet. Having a powerful website that drives your business forward, man. It's never been more valuable, and it's only ever going to get more and more valuable. Especially in these crazy times with the COVID rubbish. Everything's going online. It's a great place to be. So yeah, you probably heard my wacky accent. It's from Australia. Don't sound too Vietnamese. But I originally studied software engineering at university. And there's two places to make money as a software engineer, really. You either move to Silicon Valley or you work in finance. And I took the finance route. I moved to London, got paid a lot of money to make rich people a lot richer, which is pretty soul-destroying work. But, they pay you enough money that you learn to forget about it.
Yeah.
Life was great up until 2008 came along, and the global financial crisis. My job disappeared with absolutely everyone else I knew, and me and my friends were all mid-20s, and we're just getting established in our careers, and thinking we're shit hot and that nothing could ever go wrong, and then now we're all out of a job and there's no work to be had.
Oh man, that's horrible.
So that was a bit crushing, and I went back to Australia with my tail between my legs and what the hell am I going to do with my life? Mm-hmm. And so being a computer geek, I built an online game, and I didn't build it because I knew anything about business or I wanted to get into business. I built it because I wanted to learn a new type of programming. And then as the game was coming to fruition, I was like, well, how the hell do you get people to a website to play the damn thing? I started learning about SEO a bit. I discovered what backlinks are, built a bunch of backlinks to the website. It shot up in the rankings. I got a lot of traffic. I went, holy cow, this is really cool. This is really valuable. And so I never even finished the game, and crossed over to SEO world and been doing it ever since.
Awesome, man. No, that's really cool. And for could you elaborate to people who are not familiar with what backlinks are? And then once you do, let's dive a little bit into your whole marketing concept and what you can provide for a company moving up.
Yeah, sure. So a backlink, for those that don't know, is just the link that goes from one website to another. And that's the secret of how Google works. So Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, who's a very smart man and a very, very rich man, while he was at university, he was not drinking as many beers as me probably, and actually doing something useful like inventing Google. And he surmised when people do write a thesis, right, the more people that reference their thesis, you figure, well, that must be a good thesis because everyone's referencing their work. You figure, well, it must be the same with the website. If everyone's referencing your website, linking to your website, then it must be a good website. It must be accurate. Because you can't just trust what people can say, right? Anyone can write whatever crap they want on the internet. And so that's how Google's algorithm works. Basically, they don't trust what you say. They trust what everyone else says about you, and they do that by who's linking to you. And the more backlinks you have, the better you're going to rank.
So, I find that interesting because I recently got into SEO as well and started working on my website. And we started ranking a little bit and started seeing people reach out to us, telling us, hey, I found you, so good job. But here, I have some info for you. That's what you could do even better. But then it made me realize that SEO, essentially backlinks, are for people to understand, the likes and the follows in social media, but for a website. So the more followers and the more likes that you have on a post, the more your post is boosted by the algorithm. Same thing with a website algorithm. The more followers and links your website has to it, the more it boosts up your website. So just an analogy there so people can understand the two. And then going into that.
It's a good analogy. It really is. Yeah, the more links you have, the more trust you have. Same as the more likes you have on Facebook, the more trust you have.
Same concept. And it sounds like, all the tech companies went with kind of the same model to validate that trust. So then let's talk about, SEO as far as where's that now, where it's going, what strategies are working, what strategies were working, and what are you doing now to better?
Yeah. So I wish I had a plan when I got into business. I would have saved myself years of heartache and read some freaking books rather than just I don't know what I'm doing. I've made every mistake under the sun. I had a HR steal like $40,000 one time. I made lots of terrible business mistakes without having a plan. And having a plan just makes business so much easier. And it's the same with SEO or digital marketing, any form of it. Have a freaking plan. What are you trying to accomplish? Quite often when I'm speaking to new clients, I'm like, well, what's success look like to you? Where do you want to be? Because they try and ask me well, how much is SEO? And the truthful answer is you can spend any amount you want. The internet is really, really big. Agoda spends like $1 billion a year, and there's still more room for them. It's not really about how much you spend. It's about what you want to achieve. If you want to be getting 10 leads a month or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, well, it's going to be a different amount of investment. So you need to kind of work out what's right for your business to grow at whatever rate you want. And so building a strategy is what you need to start things with. As to your question of what's changed, it has got a little bit more difficult, and it continues to get more difficult, but it also continues to get more valuable. Google has an army of software engineers, the best software engineers on the planet. And they're constantly working on this algorithm to work out what the good sites are, what the person's actually searching for and wants to find. So the fundamentals never change. That Google wants, a fast loading website that doesn't have broken links, that has quality original content, and that it's trustworthy, and you provide a good, solid user experience. And Google's getting better at determining people that are breaking that trust and trying to do BS. And so don't game the system. You used to be able to build links artificially and game the system, and that was very cost effective. You can still do it, but Google can penalize you if they're looking to detect that, and they'll penalize you if they do. And it's just not worth doing, because you really need to think about business for the long run. If you build a website and it ranks for 6 months or a year or even 2 years, great, but you're in business forever, right? There's a beautiful game, a beautiful book by Simon Sinek called The Infinite Game, and that's exactly what he talks about. Don't get into business for this quarter or next quarter or 10 years, whatever. It's forever. And when you change to that paradigm shift, that's what you're building your website, that it's going to be driving the business growth for you forever.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, because I've been looking at all SEO and researching. I have a background in cybersecurity as well, so I've been looking at all that, and you start seeing there's white hat SEO, black hat SEO, and for those who don't understand, those are just terms that are used in the computer community, the cyber community, to say, hey, white hat is okay and black hat is more undercover. I'm doing, like you said, creating artificial things that aren't necessarily allowed by the user agreement with a tech company, right? So how do you distinguish what is allowed and what is not?
Yeah, so white hat is basically what Google says is okay, and black hat is what Google says it's not okay. There's no really any thick line of what that is because Google doesn't want you knowing much about their algorithm. The more they share about the algorithm, the more people can manipulate it. So they try and be a bit blasé about this stuff too. Like without getting into the technicalities, but if you like use spam bots or link farms and all the naughty things, then Google eventually, if they don't detect you now, they're going to detect you eventually and they'll smack you down. You might make some quick money, maybe for a few years, but like it's just not worth it. Where if you play by the rules, which is having a good quality website, great content, building up your reputation and trust, it's going to work forever. And you're never going to get smacked down. So why would you even bother? Like, especially when, especially if you're looking for investors, right? Like, no one's giving you $50K to go into your fund unless they trust you. Mm-hmm. And so if you're doing dirty crap, then like who's going to give you any money? So it's like, it's just the same as your reputation on the street is the same as your reputation online.
No, absolutely. That's a good point. So then, talk to us about how you go in and you analyze the website. How long does it take for you to say, hey, this is what we can do for you, how we can make it happen? Because I know like you said, every website is different, but what's the normal ideal way?
Yeah, for sure. So it really depends on where people are at and what their goals are. So the first thing that we do is have a discussion and go, okay, where are you currently? Sometimes people have a website, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're really established, sometimes they generate no traffic. Most of the time it's to the no traffic side of things. Most people understand that they need to have a website, but they don't really understand why. So they go to a web designer and go, hey, can you build me this website? Web designer goes, sure, give me 20 grand. And they build some website that doesn't do anything. Web designers don't have a freaking clue. They drive me nuts. They take people's money and run away with it. Like a website doesn't particularly have to look beautiful. It needs to clearly show what you do, and it needs to get in front of people. Yeah. Like we like to call it the grunt test. You need to be so clear that a caveman can come to your website and go, oh yeah, that's what this guy does. It needs to be really freaking clear. And so the first message is, someone searching for a headache, you fix headaches. That's what it needs to say, and not talk about you, because no one cares about you. They care about that you can fix headaches. Am I on the right site? Yes. Yeah. Cool. Then show me some experience that, here's some other people you fix headaches for. Awesome. And then a nice strong call to action of here's how you do business with us. That's basically how a website should be. Like, unless you are a web designer or maybe a wedding photographer, then people don't particularly care what your website looks like. They care that it has great information and that you're trustworthy. Like, sure, a beautiful website may convert a little bit better, but getting it seen is what's important.
Absolutely.
So the first thing we do is try and help the customer, establish where they want to be. How many more customers do they need? So we go, okay, if you want X amount of customers, what's your conversion rate? Okay, you need this many leads. What's your conversion rate on your website? Well, this is how many people you need coming to your website each and every month to hit those targets. So then we work backwards and go, well, who are the people searching for these? What are your potential customers searching for? And do keyword research. And then from that keyword research, that dictates everything we do. How we structure your website, how we write your blog posts, and then we do keyword mapping and build out a strategy to go, these are all the different steps that you need to do to go from wherever you are today to where you want to be.
Awesome, man. And I think you hit on the key point there is that, you need to figure out your website and get that exposure. At the end of the day, you could have the best looking website, you could have the best looking content or the best service, but if you don't have the exposure and reach to the right people, it does not matter. You're going to be spinning your wheels all day, every day.
Well, it's especially and there's an old saying that money is in the list. You need people to come back to your website and get on a list. Like, if you think about e-commerce, Amazon converts so much better than any other e-commerce website because everyone knows and trusts Amazon. If you don't go to Amazon directly to search for something, they come up in Google searches. So if you search buy XYZ widget, boom, Amazon will come up, people will click on it and they'll buy from it because they trust them. They could go to another website and you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what the customer service is like. It's a guessing game. Yeah. And like that applies very much with like a multifamily syndication company, right? If you're looking for investors to invest $50,000, it's pretty hard to have on your website, buy now, click here and give me 50K. Like a really good keyword for multifamily investors is like how to invest $50,000. Because you can be pretty sure that someone that's searching how to invest $50,000 has 50K that they want to invest. So get them to your website, and then you have a nice article about how to invest $50,000. And then you can have a lead magnet, a nice pop-up that comes up, not like subscribe to our newsletter because no one wants more freaking news. And they don't care enough about you to want to do that. But if you have a nice time pop-up that pops up and goes, hey, learn the 5 biggest mistakes people make when investing or even investing $50,000. Give me an email and I'll show you these 5 big mistakes. That's a real valuable lead magnet. So people will give you an email address, you send them the lead magnet, they download and they go, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. Oscar's pretty cool. And then you can use email marketing and you warm up that lead. So you keep sending them more information. Hey, listen to me on this podcast, or read this other article I did in Forbes, or whatever it is. And now you've nurtured that lead along. And then you can go, hey, how about you book a call with me? And so now when they've actually booked a call rather than you just call the lead that submitted a form. And so that's a really good lead because they've already listened to you on a couple of podcasts, read a couple of articles from you, think, hey, this guy's really trustworthy, he knows what he's talking about, and then booked a call. And by the time you get on the phone, they're like, hey, Oscar, here's my 50 grand.
Awesome, man. No, I love that. And that's a great strategy and a way to nurture that lead. I appreciate that. That's great tips. So then I was going to ask you, some of the things that's on your bio here is, you ask about, you say that you can generate predictable revenue. How do you know how do you estimate that it's predictable?
Well, man, like digital marketing is so good, no matter what form, like, Facebook ads or YouTube ads or like any form of digital marketing is awesome. It kicks the crap out of, I don't know why anyone's advertising on TV or radio. Like, you don't even know how many people are listening to those things. Yeah. Like, how many people are seeing your ad? Never mind trying to track the conversions. It's impossible. Where like all digital marketing, you know exactly how many people saw your ad. You know how many people interacted with it, and you can track exactly, what revenue you generated from it. And so then your profitability. SEO kicks the crap out of every other form of marketing because it has the added advantage of that it snowballs. It gets bigger and bigger, it compounds. Like with Facebook ads or Google ads or YouTube ads, you stop spending, you stop getting. Where SEO, the money you spent last month, will you get again this month, the next year. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So like that's so much more valuable. But it's a science. It's Google's an algorithm. You follow the steps and it works every freaking time. Like there's a fabulous book by Perry Marshall, I think, 80-20 Sales and Marketing. Fabulous book. He's got a chapter in that about the power of guarantees. He's like, in every deal, someone is taking the risk. If you can take that risk away from your customers, well, man, you're going to sell a heck of a lot more stuff. And from reading his book, I went, yeah, well, we can guarantee our work. We do it all the time, but why not? And so we started adding guarantees, and I'm like, man, that was the best business decision we ever made, because it's like sales just went, because everyone's like, well, sure, why not? You guarantee the job. I spend this much money, I get this return. Yeah. And we're able to do it because if you follow this strategy and it works every single time. It's a science, you feed Google what it wants, and it'll give you back what you want.
Yeah, and what was the name of the author, Perry?
It's something Perry. It's 80-20 Sales and Marketing. Perry Marshall, I think.
Okay, Marshall. All right, I'll look that up, man. That sounds like a great book, a great read.
It's a great book.
So going into a little different subject here, you got it says here you can show people how to grow a podcast, and I know I've had several listeners reach out to me and say, hey, how do you start a podcast? What do you recommend with that?
Yeah, so one of our customers is actually John Lee Dermis from Entrepreneurs on Fire, which is one of the biggest business podcasts in the world, and he does pretty good. He makes $1 million a year on podcast sponsorship, so like that's not bad revenue just on the sponsorship. He though kind of got a bit lucky. He started podcasting before it was cool. He started like 10 years ago. And and there wasn't the competition. It, obviously wasn't as valuable back then too. Where now there's a heck of a lot more podcasts.
Yeah.
But it's the same as building a website. Like, do the keyword research, work out what people are searching for, and that helps you build the content, right? Because you build the content based around what people are searching for. And most podcasts, they go out like once a week, right?
Yeah.
If you think 52 episodes per year, if you rank those for just 100 search volume worth of keywords, per month, that's not a lot. In a year, you got 5,200 visitors, per month coming to your website. 5,200 people that are searching for what you do. Like, man, that's a valuable website. If you convert 5,000 people every month, geez, like even if you're converting just 5% of those to leads, that's 250 leads a month. Like, holy crap, that's a lot of leads. What are you going to do with all those customers? So it's the same you should be doing for a podcast, is making sure you get the keywords right. Making sure that your guests are linking to you correctly. Getting the content that's right for Google and helping you rank. Like, most podcast hosts, I look at their websites all the time. I guess all the time, and they really don't have a clue. Their websites are terrible. And one thing that you need is content, like written content, and it shouldn't be the transcript of the show. Like, you need at least 500 words of content on a page. Otherwise, Google looks at it as thin content. Because writing good content is expensive, and Google knows that. And so you can't have a crap website without content. It's a really easy thing for them to look at. But you shouldn't have a transcript of a show, because then your content can be too long.
Yeah. And
it can you can remove the keyword density. So there's an algorithm, without getting too geeky, called TF-IDF, which is a frequency scanner. And that's the algorithm that Google uses. And so when we're looking for a really big keyword, we'll look at the top 10, see what sort of content they have, and run those scans on them to see what frequency you're meant to have keywords into it, to basically make sure that our customers' content is better than the competitors. Where if you're having the transcript of a podcast, it can get way too long and you don't have any of the keywords anymore. So like say that we wanted to rank this episode for like multifamily syndication SEO or something like that. It's an easy keyword to rank for because it'd be really long tail and be easy to rank for. I've only said that one phrase one time. This podcast is way too long. And so if you dump that transcript in there, it wouldn't be useful. Gotcha. So you need to know what keywords you want to rank for, write content that's around that, and that's how you rank each individual podcast episode.
That's awesome advice, man. Because I don't like when I look at websites and I see a full transcript. I think it's too much. I'm like, man, why even do that? And I know they do it for I know what they do for SEO, but I'm like, it doesn't make sense. But let me ask you this: do you recommend having a separate website for your podcast, or incorporate it into a different website, just with a different? Because that's how we do it. Just because I don't want.
If you have multiple, so basically what backlinks are doing is they're coming to your site and building up your domain authority. You need big, strong domain authority. Like Google and Amazon, they've got different websites for every country they go into. They're also, multi-billion-dollar companies. Yeah. I think they're worth like $1 trillion now. Mm-hmm. So they have the resources to do that. If you don't have the resources to do that, have one domain. Everything should be under one domain. You got multiple domains, it's twice as much work. You got to build up twice as much domain authority to rank. Like, the stronger your domain authority, the easier it is to rank for anything. And if you've just split that in half by having two domains, then it's a lot harder.
Okay, well that's good to know, because initially I had two websites and I cut it down to one exactly for that reason. Because I was like, I'm going to spend too much money doing this and time, doing this. So I just, on our main website, have everything. And then what we don't do a full, we just started doing real content, but in the episode, we do the description of the episode in kind of bullet formats so people can get the gist of it. I always put what I like to see, which is quick and to the point. Hey, what is this episode about? And then
generally with content, you want to try and appease both types of readers. There's people like me that just skim. I'm just like you. We just skim stuff. Like I live on my computer, and I'm looking at websites all day long. I don't read them. I just skim over them, look at the titles and bullet points. And a lot of people do, right? Yeah. So you want to have all of the content. So you might have 500 words of content, which is really long, but you have the titles and the subheadings and bullet points. And so that if someone's skimming it, they get all the points they need from just skimming it. But then other people, the more details they can read in between the lines as well. So that's how you write really good content.
No, that's good. Good right there. And then let's see here. So you say one of the things that you say in your one page here is that most marketing is a waste of money, right? Why is that?
Well, I mean, who's that? There's some really old dude, real famous guy, something Wanamaker. He said, half the money I spend on money, money I spend on marketing is a waste of money. Just only problem is I don't know which half. And if you're doing radio or TV ads, it's still that way. If you're doing digital, you should know what it is. Like with paid ads, if you've got a campaign that's close to profitable, that's awesome because you can just turn the not the right dials and make it profitable. And that's the same with SEO. It's like, as long as you know what you're doing, otherwise you're just going to waste money. Like so often we have people come to us that have spent so much money. One of our more recent customers, he previously spent $20,000 building a website, and he's not in a big market. He's an accountant in this little village near Vancouver. What's it called? Langley. It's like a tiny little village. It's like, how hard is it to rank in that? Who was the salesman that sold you on this site for 20 grand? I'm like, I want to hire that guy. He's a hell of a salesman, better than me. And man, I see it all the time. Web designers, man, they take people's money. I don't understand it. And
it's not even that great, I bet.
Well, people think that they need a website, but it's like, if your website's not going to generate any business, why do you need a website? Where I live in Vietnam, and websites aren't really much of a thing. Most people use a Facebook page, and that's fine because most Vietnamese don't know what Google is. They use Facebook. That's it. They think that's the internet. And that's pretty common throughout Southeast Asia. And so a website here would not be valuable. Where like obviously in the US, everyone just goes to Google and searches what they want. And like, if you're not going to get that website found, then why bother having it? It's like having a business card. If your business cards are sitting in your desk drawer, then why bother having them? You need to get out there and hand them out. And it's the same with the website. And so you need to start with working out where you want to be. I tell you, there's a fabulous book that I actually just read at the start of this year. It's from Michael Hyatt called The Vision Driven Leader. Oh yeah. And he's got it's a really great book. He's got a really easy to follow way of how to build a 3-year plan. And me and our core team, we went through that and built a 3-year plan. And man, it's a lot of work, but it just brings so much clarity. We like put our numbers together about where we want to be financially. And then it's like, well, how many sales do we need to make? How many customers do we have? What's our retention rate got to be? What's our hiring? Like, when do we have to hire people? And, it helps our HR and recruitment team to know what they need. It helps our internal marketing people know how much traffic we need to be coming in. And like we have an office here in Saigon, but we have a lot of remote staff as well. And so every month we have a team call with the whole team, which is, I really look forward to it every month. And we look at how we're going. This is our 3-year plan. Where are we up on that? And we break it down by quarter. And so each month we can just check how we are on that quarter. And it gives you so much clarity. And it's so inspiring for yourself and the troops. And like, that's the same thing with the marketing plan. We use that plan to derive our marketing plan. This is how much traffic we need. And, it determines your business growth.
No, and good thing you brought that up, because I was going to say is great. Michael Hyatt has a great series. That one's a great book. How to Hire a World-Class Assistant, amazing book. And then there's other two I recommend, which is Rocket Fuel and Traction, which are around the same concept for EOS and getting your systems in place and your management style and your vision all aligning, right? Which is key, because if you have different people with different visions, your company is never gonna set off.
For sure.
But I was gonna say is, it's funny you say $20,000 for a website, and I'm hung up on that because, for anyone listening out there, I paid $400 for a website. And even that I thought was expensive. So I tell you that.
Well, it depends what you want it to do, right? Like, I won't drop his name, but there is a guy with another REI podcast that I was speaking to some time ago, and he spends $400 a month on SEO. And I said, why are you doing that? Because you've been doing it for years, and it's a total waste of time. You got to spend that money at the pub every month and have a much better result.
Yeah.
Because we built him a strategy, and he's like, man, that's expensive, because he's used to spending $400. I'm like, you're not getting anything from that. Like, what we do is guarantee results. Okay, we might be a bigger investment, but you'll get a return. What the hell's point of spending $400 if you're not going to get a return on it? Just stop spending your money. So like, you need to think about what you're doing. Like, building a valuable digital asset does cost money. If it was easy to do, then everyone would be doing it. And then it would be easy again. And like one of the biggest problems that we have is recruitment. Like that's our biggest hurdle to growth. It's certainly not getting customers, because everyone wants to grow their business. That's no problem at all. It's that we've got a crappy business that, every time we get new clients, we need new team members, and we need to train them fast enough. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And what SEOs do is lots of them build their own websites. They build affiliate websites. They'll just either sell leads to businesses and own the websites themselves, or just even sell stuff to Amazon. You can sell leads to Amazon. And I mean, we've got a bunch of affiliate sites ourselves. That's what guys train on. And they make a crap load of money. I mean, like one of my friends has a business called Empire Flippers, and they sell affiliate sites, and holy crap, you wouldn't believe how many sites they sell per month. It's a huge marketplace.
Actually, I was just looking at Empire Flippers the other day, which is pretty cool. So how are you associated with them?
So I used to live in the Philippines, and their founder, Joe Magnotti, used to live across the road from me, and so we were good friends. Now the other founder, Justin Cook, he lives here in Saigon, and we have beers quite regularly.
That's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, I took a look at that because I've been looking into SEO and all that, which I found it super interesting. And I was like, maybe Kris here, had something that popped up on him that said, hey, this guy's looking for SEO, which is funny that, your people reach out to me and say, hey, for the podcast.
Yeah, they sold $17 million worth of properties last quarter.
Yeah,
which, I mean, it mightn't be big in the real estate world, but 70 million is still not a bad amount.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sweet, man. So let me ask you this: you kind of said it there. That's why you should hire a marketing agency, right? Because they're gonna take your digital asset and make it into a valuable one, right? And one of the things that you mentioned there is, SEO people take it and, they also do different things with SEO. And one of the things I've heard is, they'll build the website, build the credibility of that website, and then they'll sell that website for someone else that wants to have it, and then they can tweak it, right? Is that something that you've done before?
Yeah, so that's what we train our guys on, is we have our own affiliate websites. So like some just like home products or dog furniture, like whatever it can be. Like it's better if the person has some interest in the niche, because then they'll do it more actively. But that's what we train our guys on before they come and work on client sites. But like you can build them up, and you can either sell them on a brokerage like Empire Flippers and then use the money to build more sites, or you just keep building up and building revenue.
So this would be great for someone with a blog kind of thing for a niche, right? So like you already have it built up, and maybe they come in and say, hey, do you have one of those for my blog? And you have it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like it's big business. That's what most of most actual SEOs work in affiliate SEO. I mean, back before COVID, there used to be a fabulous festival called Chiang Mai SEO. Chiang Mai is a little town in Thailand, just a couple of countries over from here. And my friend Matt Digby runs the conference every year. And, you got a couple thousand SEOs flock into the city, and most of them do affiliate marketing because it's just so valuable. Most SEOs can't communicate with people, so they're computer geeks. They don't enjoy sales, so they can't do sales. They can't get clients, so they just build their own websites. And then you're your own boss too. So it has a lot of benefits. I don't find it that rewarding because you're building like advertising platforms. I really like to work with people that are trying to make the world a better place, and you help build their business. Like one of our customers, his website's called Guards Down, and he is like super passionate. He's a veteran, and he's really passionate about helping veterans with PTSD and making sure they don't die. And like, it's really such a pleasure to work with him. He even has a tax business that makes quite a lot of money, and that is what is financing, Guards Down. And I like keep going, dude, milk that tax business so you have more money to like help more people.
Yeah.
But he's like just so passionate about helping as many people as he can now, because a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately, some veteran committed suicide, and he was like so broken down about it. And he's like, man, how did we not get our message in front of that person? And being able to help people like that, help the world, it's one of our mission statements.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's a great. I actually heard of him. I've seen them on LinkedIn. So shout out to him. Let me ask you the last question here that I had, which is, how exactly should a person go and hire a marketing agency? What's the right way, the wrong way to do it, and then what tips?
Anyone that tries to shoot from the hip and give you like a price, that's the wrong agency. Like you see, not that I look at what other people do, but what I've heard and seen in the past is people have like packages, right? Small, medium, and large. Here's whatever they are, and it's like that's total BS. You need to a marketing agency should really ask you, well, where are you at? How many customers are you generating a month now? Where do you want to be? It doesn't happen overnight. Like even if you use paid ads or Facebook ads, it's not going to happen overnight. They need to go and work out with you, because most people don't know what their cost per acquisition per customer currently is. And what's a customer worth to you? How much can you spend to get one, and how many do you want? And work out a plan with you to get you there. Because it is going to be different. If you want 10 customers a month or 100 or 1,000, well, it's a different investment. But you need to kind of work that out, because most businesses can't grow exponentially. Like even Apple, they have to try and work out how many iPhones are they going to sell. It's tricky. And like us, when we bring on new clients, we have to have new staff to be able to handle those accounts. So we can't grow infinitely overnight. We have to grow at a steady rate. And so that's what a marketing agency should design for you, is a strategy on how to grow at that nice curve that's comfortable for your business. And it has to be predictable, because if you need to hire new staff, every time we hire new staff, your payroll goes up, and it's you need to have money in the bank to be able to pay for that person. If you dropped a client or two, you're going to have enough money to pay for those guys. That'll get really stressful. You want to make sure that you have predictability in business, and that makes business real fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a good point, because a lot of us want, hey, that website is going to rank number one. And it's one of those things where you want it to, but do you want it right now? Because can you handle that conversion rate, right? And I know we had that issue on Instagram, where we had so many people and we couldn't keep up, and we jumped from a small number of units to a lot of units, and we realized, well, we're overwhelmed. We can't keep up. So as a business person, you also got to think, how fast do you want to go? Are my process and systems in place able to keep up with that growth? Because if not, you're throwing money out the door. You're not gonna be able to convert. So yeah, Kris, if anything, could you tell the listeners where they can find you, how they can reach you, man?
So, if you go to Google and you type in the coolest guy in SEO, if you're not able to find me, then Google is broken. So yeah, that's certainly one way to do it. But another way, if they go to Ardor SEO, so Ardor needs to do something with a fiery passion. So ardorseo.com/REI, you'll see a little video of me talking my talk. And if you put in your details, I'll do a video review of you for you. So I'll show you, exactly what your customer's searching for in what search volume, and show you some simple things you can change yourself on your website to get your message in front of where these people are actively looking for exactly what you do, and predictably grow your business. So that's ardorseo.com/REI.
Awesome, man. Well, Kris, thank you so much for coming on. And for all the listeners, please go ahead and give us a 5-star review. Shoot us a comment, message, feedback. We're always glad to help, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you for listening. We're out.